Welcome to Bella Vista Gardening Program. I'm Geri Hoerner, and with me today is Brunje, and Shar is also a member of the Bella Vista Garden Club. And today we're going to be talking about ornamental grasses in your landscape, and this is a good time of year to talk about those. And we'll also be telling you what you need to be doing in your garden for February. So the ornamental grasses, you have them in your garden.
Yes, I do.
And everyone should have them in their garden somewhere. They just provide year-round interest, whether it's summer or winter, with their plumes blowing in the wind. And with this weather we've had lately, it's been warm and then cold and then a little snow and a little ice or whatever. So
and they always look nice.
And they do look good.
Plus they disguise a lot of different things that we have, like telephone poles. And,
right.
And the different wiring.
And boxes, some kind of boxes, if you have a box for something, or you know. So they do disguise.
And they can be decorated for Christmas and holidays, as we'll see.
We'll show you how you can decorate your grasses. So we do have some photos of the various grasses, and we can show you that the maiden grass is one of the most popular grasses around here.
It's one of my favorites.
Right, and most people have maiden grass here.
Easy to grow.
Right, and it's drought tolerant. It does grow a little shorter if it doesn't get a lot of water. Yours, I think you said this year was not as tall.
Not as tall.
Because of the drought. And it's just a wonderful grass to put in your garden as accents. You have to give it room to grow. They do expand. Now that's the winter view. We saw the summer view, and this is the winter view. So you can see the beautiful plumes.
The plumes look really nice there. And they can be cut for design.
Right, you can put them in containers inside and use them for design, for floral designs. And then the other thing you can do with them is decorate them for the holidays.
Oh, that's my favorite.
I love that.
Yes.
Fran has decorated her grasses with ribbons for the Christmas holidays. So, and that could also be used for Valentine's Day if they're if they're up that long.
Yes.
So, but you do need to trim your grasses in February. Now, this is your grandson.
Yes, Tristan.
Tristan, and that shows you how tall they can get.
Right, and that was 2 years ago before the drought.
Yeah,
and they were full, and they were so nice and green, and looked very luscious.
But they get about 4 to 6 foot tall, depending.
Yes.
Usually it's about 5 foot.
Right.
The maiden grass. Typical maiden grass. Now there's a lot of different maiden grasses. There's a lot of varieties. We have one that's taller. This is called Morning Light. And all the maiden grasses are in the miscanthus family. So when you go to the garden center, you can look for miscanthus as a maiden grass, but there are different varieties. This Morning Light gets 4 to 5 foot, but it's a little narrower and it's a little lighter.
And it looks airy, very airy, and you can plant behind it and you'll be able to see through it.
And then this one is called variegated. The leaves are...
And that's my favorite because I think that one does really well, no matter what the conditions are. I think it does a little bit better.
And the plumes are a little different. They're almost like a purple color. You know?
Very beautiful.
They're very pretty plumes. So that can give you variegated plants make a great accent in your garden.
And again, nice for design containers.
Yes, it is. And now this is a picture we took. I'm hoping the people don't mind showing their house on the program. But it shows you the different grasses. There's pampas grass is on the left. And that's a little taller grass. I don't have pampas grass.
I don't either, but my neighbor does. And it's to disguise a telephone pole or an electrical pole.
Because it does get a lot taller.
Yes, it does. And it's difficult to cut down. It's so thick. My neighbor uses a chainsaw.
Oh my, because that's...
you do have to wear gloves because it does cut.
Yeah, some of the leaves on grasses are pretty sharp.
Yes.
They're not real smooth all the time, so you have to be careful, you know, when you do trim them. Then to the right of that pampas grass is maiden grass. So
and that's nice and full. And notice how it's green, even at this time of the year.
Right.
It's giving a little bit of color. It doesn't look so barren.
And the plumes are wonderful on that. Now the other picture of that garden shows you some other clumps of the maiden grass that aren't as tall and aren't doing as well. And they were wondering why. And I'm thinking the one in the middle is because it doesn't get as much sun.
Yes.
And the one on the other side, on the right side, it may be just a younger plant, but it also could be that doesn't have enough drainage or nutrients. There could be little microcosms in your garden where one plant will do fine and the one next to it doesn't do as well.
Doesn't do as well.
And it could be your pH, it could be your nutrition, so it's just hard to tell.
Soil is very important, even with the grasses.
Right. Yeah, they have to have the nutrients just like any other plant. And then this one is, oops, go back. This one is your dwarf maiden grass. There's also a shorter maiden grass variety, and it only gets about, I don't know, 2 to 3 foot tall.
And I like the different levels there.
Right.
And then it's tall, and then you have the...
You can combine your grasses.
It fills it in a little bit.
So I think they're trying to hide the base of that
Yes.
little shed there. And below it is the dwarf fountain grass, so that's a little short grass underneath. And that's maybe a foot tall or so. So you can use a combination of grasses.
And it's nice and full. It looks full
Yeah,
for
it
texture.
does nice. And then when the plumes come on it, I'm sure that's going to really be pretty. Now this is a grass called feather reed grass, rather. And it's a little taller. It's not in the maiden grass family. It's a little taller, a little narrower, and the plumes are a little narrower. And it gets 2 to 4 foot tall. And it's a good vertical accent.
Right, I was going to say for landscaping, excellent.
Right,
For the vertical.
And it's good on corners of buildings. If you have a corner of your building that you want to put a vertical element, this would be a good grass for that. And then this one is, it's called a switchgrass, and it's the variety of Shenandoah. And I have this in my garden, and it's a red, kind of a red tinted grass.
Beautiful, beautiful.
But mine doesn't get enough sun because my tree grew quite a bit, so it doesn't get as red. So if you put it in full sun, it has a good red color in the summer. And it gets about 3 to 4 foot tall. It's not a real tall grass, about 3 foot usually. But these are just different grasses you can look for in your garden center. And then the zebra grass. A lot of people have zebra grass.
I do.
Vista. You have zebra grass? And I really like zebra grass.
I've placed it in containers.
Oh, okay.
And I like it in containers.
And then it winters over well?
Yes.
Now-
I move the containers in the garage.
Oh, you put them in the garage
them
over
in
the
the
winter?
garage, yes.
I see. Because I haven't tried any grasses inside, over the winter, bringing them
I
out.
just cut it back and put it in the garage. Water it from time to time, and it does survive.
Okay. And then when you look for grasses at the center, at the the garden centers, you need to look for the zone 6 and lower.
Yes.
Because those are the grasses that will survive our winters. And, okay, then this is the close-up of the zebra grass leaf.
Isn't that pretty?
So you have this beautiful little, pattern in the leaves that show up and just gives you a lot of interest in your garden. And I think these leaves are a little sharp, aren't they?
Yes. They are.
You have to
I
be
think you
careful
need
of
to
those.
wear gloves when handling them.
Right, so you really wouldn't want to put that near a pathway or some place where people are going to be
Where it would
walking.
scrape your legs.
Right. So some grass is a little sharper than others, and some are very soft. But this one's got a little rough edge to it. This one is called blue fescue. Now, the little blue fescue gets about 12 inches tall. They're just little puffs of bluegrass, and they're great for accents in your perennial beds.
And it looks nice with the mulch. And if you have different colored mulch, the blue fescue.
In a darker mulch, it'll really show
Yes.
up. And it does produce some seed, so you can take those seeds and propagate them to other
Does
clumps.
that work?
And sometimes the seed will blow in the wind, and you'll come up with these little tufts through your
Elsewhere.
garden. But they're easy to, pick
Rescue.
up and rescue and maybe share with someone else. But they do spread seeds, the blue fescue. And then course, my favorite grasses probably is the liriope.
Oh, my favorite too.
And I've gone to a lot of garden tours with the master gardeners around the state, and I don't think I've ever gone to a garden that didn't have liriope in it.
I think you're right.
Because it's great for borders or accent. It's such low maintenance. You know, you trim it in February, and you don't have to do anything the rest of the year. It'll
And
grow.
in the fall, it looks nice.
It has some beautiful little purple flowers in the fall, and it's just a great accent. And I just think every garden should have liriope somewhere. Now, there's also the variegated. Now, there's different varieties of liriope also. The dark green are the variegated.
And I thought the variegated did much better during the drought.
The drought.
Yes, because mine was nice and full, and the flowers on it looked very nice, whereas the regular green one, it did not do as well.
Oh, okay.
So the variegated was nice and full and did much better
Well,
in the soil.
there's two varieties now of liriope, and you have to be careful which variety you have. The clumping type that just does clumps, just grows in clumps, is muscari variety, and the spreading kind is spicata. Now, the spicata will send out runners, so you can plant it in one spot, and it'll send a runner, and then it'll grow somewhere else. And it's a little harder to control.
I have the clumping.
You have the clumping.
Feel that I'm more successful with the clumping.
And the variegated also comes in variegated with yellow or white. So
Yellow
you
or
could
white.
have a yellow and green or white and green. So there's different varieties, you know, with different colors. And these are just our favorite grasses that we wanted
And
to show
grasses
you.
that have worked for us.
They
in
work
the
in this
garden.
area. They
Definitely.
really do. Now, there's also the fountain grass, which is purple, that you see in the nurseries in the spring. And I love the fountain grass with that purple, especially with you know, any kind of a white or light colored plant
Background.
with it. But it doesn't survive.
No.
You have to either bring, I haven't tried to bring it in, I just buy it over again in the
I
in the
haven't
spring.
been successful with that either.
But
in the
it's a
garage.
beautiful grass that's more tropical. So there's tropical
Right.
grasses too. So
And as you said, watch the zone 6.
you have to. And I think sometimes they're trying to push zone 7 plants in this area, and that's fine if we have a winter like we did last winter, where we didn't have a winter, basically. But you know, if we have the normal winter where it gets down in the below zero, you're going to lose
Yes.
most of those zone 7 plants unless they're protected, really well protected. So it's just safer to go with your zone 6 and 6 plants. And February is the time to trim your grasses. You need to trim them down to the ground, maybe just a few inches before the new growth starts. Now, I have a system where we trim our liriope, and my husband goes out with me, and I'll grab the liriope, all the leaves up, into like a little cluster, and then he takes the little whacker, little
And
trimmers,
trims
and
it.
cuts them. So you have to be sure to get
So you
your
have a
hands up.
system.
Yeah, get up before the cut. But anyway, then I put that in the compost. So we go and trim our liriope in February. You can do it any time in the month of February, but you have to watch that new growth. When that new growth starts coming up, you have to trim it
You have to
before
trim it.
it gets too high, because otherwise you're going to be cutting off the tips of those leaves of the new growth.
And it won't look as nice.
And it
It will
won't.
not be bushy.
No, it won't look as good.
Right.
So. But all your grasses really need to be trimmed in February, down as low as you can. Get the old stuff off, and so the new stuff can come through. So, is there any other grasses that you have?
No, not that I can think of.
Okay, because like I said, there's just hundreds of grasses, and I know Dawn Denton, who does our
Yes.
gardening from the inside out, to look from the inside out to your garden. She does a lot of landscaping with grasses, and she just thinks every garden should have grasses.
And I don't think you can have too many, as long as you have them in various heights.
Right, and then like I said, you also have to remember they're going to grow, and you buy that little 1-gallon pot, and you know, in a few years it's going to be 2 or
Expand.
3 foot wide. So just be sure that you've got enough room for that plant to grow. And they are a little difficult to dig up and divide. If they're smaller, you can dig them up and cut them and, you know, take a saw and cut them in half or whatever and replant. But they are a little difficult once they get bigger to get in there and divide them. So, but that's the other thing. So
now are we moving on to things to do in February?
right, we do need to work in February. I was out in the garden yesterday, and today it's cold, so that's what our Februarys are like and our Januarys. You have days in the 60s and maybe 70s, and then it goes down into the 30s. So these poor plants are so confused all the time in the spring here, and that's one of the reasons why we lose a lot of our plants, our perennials, is because of that warm weather, cold weather, warm. Up north, you came from up north, right?
Yes, yes. We had nothing.
But you had just cold weather.
Just cold weather and ice and snow.
And it just stayed cold, so the plants weren't confused like they are down here.
Confused.
So down here they just get a little confused because it's spring and then it's winter and spring and winter. So.
And then we need to talk about houseplants.
Right.
And I have a gardenia. And this gardenia does have some spider mites, and so I've used the insecticide soap. Of course, you can make your own, and you said you use Murphy's.
I use Murphy's oil soap.
And you can put 2 teaspoons in the water?
About 2 tablespoons per gallon.
Okay, I did it in just a little spray bottle, and I shook the spray bottle and sprayed. And then you need to make sure that you spray under the leaves. So I did place it up on the table, and I sprayed beneath the leaves.
Yeah, you have to get the entire leaf.
Entire leaf. And then you have to do that about every week for about 3 weeks, and then the spider mites are gone. And once you spray it, you'll be able to see the little webs. And sometimes I take a makeup brush, and I get the webs out of there. Or you could take cotton, and it doesn't hurt you. A Q-tip would work as well. And more houseplants die from overwatering, so you don't want to overwater. It's better if you underwater them and control the mites and the scale.
Yeah, scale now, you can take scale off with a little Q-tip dipped in alcohol. You see little scale, they're just like a little brown dot on your leaf. And if you just take a little Q-tip dipped in alcohol and you put that on each one of those dots, I take them off with the Q-tip. With the alcohol, and then that kills them. So you can get scale on your houseplants in the winter also. Okay. Those are the 2 things you need to look for, scale and mites. Okay.
And then you're going to work on annuals and vegetables?
Well, annuals, there's still snapdragons blooming out there.
Yes, that's hard to believe.
And pansies.
And pansies.
And the dusty miller's still a little bit, white, and blue. And looking good. But your annuals and your vegetables, you want to be ordering your seeds and your plants from the nurseries, and be sure to order early so you get your choice. Sometimes they sell out if you don't order early enough.
And it seems like all the stores have the seeds out now. The organic ones.
There's seeds everywhere.
Regular seeds,
and you can start
flowers.
your seeds in February. I usually start mine about March, first part of March. I start my seeds inside that I want to put out in May. But you have to watch some of the catalogs. When they say easy to grow, that means that they're going to be marching across your driveway into your neighbor's garden. So you'll have to watch the terminology they use. And if it says reseeds freely, that means they're going to be everywhere in your garden. So, watch the seed descriptions and take note of what they mean when they talk. Some plants are very prolific.
Yes.
And more prolific sometimes than you want. So.
And February is a good time for lawns.
Oh, yeah.
What are you doing with the lawn?
Well, you need to apply lime right now if your lawn needs lime. And this is a good time to apply it so it'll be into the soil when the growing season starts. Now, if you're not sure if you need lime, you need to take a plant soil sample to the extension office. Now, these soil samples are free to Arkansas residents. You pay for these soil samples with a special tax they put on fertilizers and sprays and garden products. You don't even see that tax. But it pays for the soil test, so they are free. And you just take about a pint of soil in a garden, and you want to take it in like 4 different spots. and you dry that. Make sure that soil is dry. I put it on newspaper in the garage and just let it dry. So it has to be dry to be tested. And I put it in a little Ziploc, and I take it to the extension office, which is over on 102. And within 2 or 3 weeks, you get a report back that tells you what you need to add to your soil. It tells you the pH, and it'll tell you how to treat your soil, what it needs. So that's a good thing to do for your lawns right now, is just do your soil test and be sure you have the right nutrients.
And we'll talk a little bit about roses. I have some climbing roses, and you can apply a dormant spray that you can get at the garden centers. And it's too early to prune those roses. I noticed I had about 5 little leaves, but you don't want to prune them until late February, early March, because if you prune, the new growth starts to appear. And then our weather will change and the roses will freeze.
Right.
And you don't want to have those new leaves that are so tender freeze at this time.
Absolutely not. So I usually prune mine mid-March.
Mid-March.
Because we still can get some bad weather early March. We've gotten one time 12 inches of snow the first part of March, so you don't know what's going to happen.
That. And then what about the trees and shrubs?
Well, the trees and shrubs, if you've just planted some trees and shrubs, you have to monitor that water over the winter. Luckily, we've had some rain over this winter. I've been watering mine. But if you've just planted them and it's dry, they're going to need moisture in the winter also. And then late in the month, you can fertilize a little bit. Sometimes in February, I'll take Epsom salt and put it around my dogwood trees. And just, take a handful and sprinkle it around the base of the tree. So I just kind of go around the property.
And do you have to water that down there?
No, I just let the rain take it down. But I just sprinkle a little Epsom salt. I'm not sure if it helps or not, but, I've been doing it for a number of years, and I do have some nice blooms on my dogwood trees.
I thought my box would look like it had frostbite, but what it really was, it wasn't getting enough water. So I started watering, and it's much improved.
Yeah, you can see those little dried leaves on the outside of your boxwoods, and if you see that, then you know it needs water. And then
the perennials?
Well, we don't want to prune our shrubs yet either.
No.
We talk about shrubs and trees. You don't want to prune your crepe myrtles and your spring blooming or summer blooming shrubs yet. Probably mid-February, late February. You want to trim your crepe myrtles and get them shaped up for the blooming season. So, and then perennials. We still have some perennials out there. And this is a good time to divide them. Late February. I wouldn't start yet.
Okay.
I know the weather, we get to this nice warm weather and you want to get out there and you want to divide some things or pot some things up, and it's just not good. It's still going to have some cold weather, probably.
Okay.
So it's safer to wait till March.
Sounds like a wise idea.
So anyway, but while you're looking up these grasses online, you can find an awful lot of information online. If you just go into your computer and you just type in ornamental grasses, you'll come up with thousands of different sites and catalogs and different grasses you can look at, and a lot of gardening information.
Pick something that would be appropriate for your garden.
Right. And the area you want remember where you want to plant that first, because that's one of the problems that a lot of us gardeners,
it will get larger.
Well, we come home with a plant and then we don't know where to put it, and we're walking around the garden trying to figure out where to put this
I do that from time to time.
Yes, we all kind of do. So keep in mind where you want to plant those grasses and give it enough room. And
you want to mention the Benton County Garden site?
Oh, we do have a lot of information on the Master Gardener website, and that's bentoncountygardening.org. There's just tons of information on that website, along with the Bella Vista Garden Club website, and that's bellavistagardenclub.com. It's easy to remember, and we have things on our site with, and we'll probably maybe have some of these grasses listed too with pictures. I can put those on the website, so you can refer back to some of these grasses.
And I wanted to mention that the Bella Vista Garden Club will meet in February, and the date is the 27th, and it's the 4th Wednesday of the month, and we serve a light lunch. And we also have a program, and this month's program will be the Scenes of Monet's Garden in Giverny by Joyce Mendenhall. And she's a master gardener in Washington County. And guests are always welcome. And we hold the meeting at the United Lutheran Church. And this is Cooper Road and Forest Hills Boulevard at 11 o'clock. And for more information, you can always go to the Bella Vista Garden Club site, as you mentioned, and it's bellavistagardenclub.com.
Yeah, we have our calendar of events on there, all the things we're going to be doing. We have our, I'm not sure if our plant sale is listed there yet, but our plant sale will be on Saturday, May 4th, and we'll have more information about the plant sale and on later programs. And also, I think Shar has offered has offered to do the hosting of our show once in a while, and so she'll be
helping you out from time to time.
Right, I'll get a little help on the hosting, and so we can look forward to Shar. And Fran Zimmerman, also in our club, has been working with
she's going to help out
with us, and we're designing programs for the year. And Fran's going to be maybe hosting the show once in a while too. So, but we've kind of sat down and figured out some things for the year, the interesting topics that might be of interest. Now, if there's a topic that you would like us to cover that we haven't covered, you can email us at bvgardenclub@gmail.com, and that email address is on our website. You just go to our website, and I think there's even a link. You can go in and just email us right on that website. And let us know if there's a subject you want us to cover or some questions you have.
Take that into consideration
and we'll try
planning.
to fit that in. And because we're trying to get the information out to the gardeners in the area and that you're interested in. So that's our main purpose here.
Right.
And that's one of the purposes too of Master Gardeners is training and education and sharing our knowledge. Most Master Gardeners are not experts in everything.
No.
You can't be.
No.
But in our Master Gardener program, we have experts in different fields.
And they're always willing to answer questions.
Oh, absolutely. And they always want to share. Gardeners love to share.
Yes, they do.
They share our plants, we share our information, and we share our tips and our whatever. So, that's the main thing. We want to educate and to share our information and help everyone in this area have beautiful gardens and with less work.
And I think Bella Vista does.
We do. We have beautiful gardens. And the whole northwest Arkansas area has wonderful gardens. The Botanical Garden in Fayetteville is just a treat to go to, and Compton Gardens and the trails.
Lots of inspiration.
The trails at Crystal Bridges, I mean, there's just so much to look at and so much to learn from. So that's the main thing. So again, Char, I really want to thank you for coming today.
Welcome.
And I think grasses are just such an interesting subject. And there's also prairie grasses that we haven't covered. There's some native grasses that grow in the prairies, and maybe in a future program we can talk about those. Maybe when we talk about native plants, we can include some of those prairie grasses that are interesting and low maintenance.
Low maintenance, definitely.
We love low maintenance. We love low maintenance plants. So anyway, I'm glad you joined us, and I'm hoping to see you later in the year at different times.
Thank you very much.
And I hope you'll join us next month. And until then, don't forget to stop and smell the roses.
Happy gardening.